SE, I'm sorry, SEE. We had the T, we had betas, we had all kinds of stuff so far. Which of all those possibilities is one of those do you think was also going to be related to the formula for X and Y? How related are they? Yes. It turns out you're not wrong. The F ratio, again, Chapter 11, which is those F ratios, analysis of variance, and Chapter 13 and 14, which is regression, mathematically boil down to the same thing. If you know one, you know the other, at least. And if you only so you're not wrong about that. So, but we're not going to. I'm going to try not to confuse the two chapters until the very end. So I'm going to pass it back to Roger, please. Okay, so I'm asking for another thing, something, but this we didn't have the F ratio in this chapter yet. So what do you have in this chapter that relates to the fact that X and Y are related? Well, I'm going to not waste too much more time. Yes, Paul. That's what he said. The SYX tells you how close it is, and it's right, but that's what he said. Okay, now the answer is, not surprisingly, the B1, because remember, if B1 tells beta 1, which is measuring the B1. Or should B1 really measures the beta 1, but the beta 1 concept and the B1, which is very much overlapping it, tell you are X and Y related. So you would think the actual number, remember, if beta 1 equals 0, which means the B1 is going to probably be close to 0, that means X and Y are not related. So you would think, everything else being equal, the bigger the B1, the further it is away from 0, would indicate that X and Y are tremendously related. It turns out that's true. And it turns out that the formula for the correlation, which I'm about to give you, is very, very similar to the formula for B1, which is how I'm going to approach it. So here's the formula you need to know to calculate and the formula for the correlation. So now we're doing chapter 13. Now the goal now is not our X and Y related. How related are X and Y? And again, when I say related, I mean linearly related, according to a straight line. And that's going to be called the correlation formula. So now we're learning the correlation formula. And the symbol for the correlation is called R. But it turns out there are many different types of correlations depending upon a number of assumptions and type of data you're calculating. We're dealing with the most common type called the Pearson correlation. So the fancy name for the R is the Pearson Correlation Coefficient, and if you want a really fancy name for it, it's called the Pearson Product Moment Correlation Coefficient. Don't even bother writing it down. The Pearson, because the type of formula is called a product moment. The Pearson Product Moment Correlation Coefficient, because it's just a coefficient, it's hard to interpret in its own sake. Okay, now what is the formula? Well, what is the formula for B1? N summation xy minus summation x summation y. That was the top part of the formula for the B1. And likewise, it's the top part of the formula for the correlation. What is the bottom part of the B1 formula? And Alex, you can get a second shot at this. N summation x squared minus summation x parentheses squared. I think, was that it? Was that the whole formula for B1? I think so, right? But the formula for the correlation is you do the exact same thing for the y as well. N summation y squared minus summation y parentheses squared. And because we're multiplying them, we're going to take a square root at the end of the bottom. Okay? Now, I guess somebody made no mistake. And I remember the answer from last year, so we'll figure. I think the answer was 0.81. But I could be wrong about that. All right, so let's get, I'm not going to, like always, I'm going to expect you to do the dirty work. What number for n are you going to plug into this problem? I'm sorry, which numbers are we using? We're using the same 4 numbers we've been using all, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 6, 2, 5. Those are we're taking 4 observations. This was advertising and sales. Okay, so what was the n? This is the most common mistake on the test, is to mess up the n. What's the n going to be correctly? Yes, Gina? It's 4 pairs of numbers. It's 4, not 8. It's 4. Write that down and make sure you understand that. What is going to be the summation of the xy? I know it by heart. I think it's 48. What's going to be the summation of x? It's minus 10 times 17, which is minus 170. Because this could be positive or negative also, by the way. N is 4 again. Summation x squared, I believe, was 30. Am I right about that? Was this 30? Yes, yes, 30. 30? And what was the summation x by itself? Well, we just said it was equal to 10. So this here, you plug in 10 squared or 100. So please do this. The only way you can verify that you know what you're doing is by doing it and seeing that it comes out right. Just looking at it and saying, well, I think I got it, guarantees you a failing mark on the test.